In this video, I'm going to show you how to repair a leaking sunroof that's putting water on the right-hand side of your LR3. What's going on is there is a drain line that runs from the corner of the sunroof down here and then exits the vehicle. There's a rubber nipple. Where it exits, that nipple will disintegrate over time, and then that tube ends up flopping down and pushing water straight into the central junction box and then onto your floorboard. On the right-hand side, we have the luxury of being able to tell if the nipple has actually fallen off. So we need to remove the vent, grab at the bottom, and then pull it out, remove him, and then remove this guy. Looking up inside, we can see the hole where there should be a nipple, so that confirms our problem. Normally, to repair this, what you would do is you would pull down the headliner, remove the A-pillar covers, take out the glove box, some interior components, and the central junction box, and then replace the entire line. While that's a great idea, that's also a lot of work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to cut the end of the existing tube off, and then I'm going to splice on the end of a new tube with a 12 millimeter push to connect airline coupler. When you're working on the central junction box, it has had water running over it and around it. You're going to have some corrosion, so with an electrical parts cleaner or an electrical contact cleaner, you need to clean all the connections and the pins on the central junction box. These are the tools you'll need: a panel clip popper, Phillips head screwdriver, 13 millimeter socket with ratchet to disconnect the battery, a 10 millimeter socket. This will be for removing the two nuts on the central junction box. An extension makes that job easier. A flashlight because it's dark in there. Scissors to cut the tubing. And then the tool that I made to remove the pins that hold the glove box on. This is a piece of 1/4 inch inside diameter PEX tubing cut about 3/4 of an inch long, and a machine screw that is slightly longer than that. You'll need a 12 millimeter push to connect coupler. This will connect the old pipe with the new pipe. The first thing that we need to do to start the repair is open the sunroof and then disconnect the battery and let it sit for 30 minutes to an hour, because you want the electrical system fully discharged before you start messing with the central junction box. Get the glove box out. We need to remove this upholstery panel, this one down here, and then we need to lift up on this one down here. Take your upholstery tool and just snap him out, and then pull the weather stripping. There. Well, yeah, pull the weather stripping off. There's only one clip on the panel up here. Sometimes it will separate here, sometimes this whole guy will pull out. This panel, it slides out this way, and then it pulls up like that. There are two snaps or two panel clips in here that you want to take out. These guys here, and then you want to reattach them to the panel. And then when you put it back in, you can just snap it back on. We now need to remove this panel. There's a snap over here, and then two Phillips head screws that are captured screws, and you only turn them about 1/4 or 1/2 a turn to get them loose. There's also an electrical connector to the light, and he just slides out. This is how you get the pins out, and I'm sorry, my hands are going to be in the way for most of this. You want to take the tube and push it over the end of the pin, and you want to hold the pin in while you're compressing it, because you want those barbs to be fully compressed by that tube. Then take your screw, put it in the end of the tube, and then push it. And then you can pull the pin all the way out. Now we need to do that on the other side. This side pushes this way, and this side pushes this way. When you have both pins out, unlatch it, and then compress those flaps on either side and you've got the glove box out. To put it back in, you can leave it, you can line it up and then slide the pins like that, or you can put the glove box all the way back in and then put the pins in. With the glove box out, we can now see what causes most of the headache on the right-hand side. It's the Central Junction Box. We have got 6 electrical connectors and 2 10mm nuts that hold it in. You're going to want to remove the 4 electrical connectors at the front first, then remove the 2 nuts, and then get to the 2 electrical connectors that are in the back. To get the big electrical connectors off the front, we want to push down the tabs and then pull up, and you'll see how that mechanism kind of pushes it off the CJB. This is what the connector looks like at the back of the CJB. To get it out, you need to pull down on that lever and it'll push out. Here's the Central Junction Box out of the truck, and we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 connectors. With the CJB out of the way, we can now see the sunroof drain line. It's right there, and the hole it exits out is behind those wires. I'm going to cut off the end with my scissors. I'm going to give myself a couple inches to play with. When you're in there with the scissors, you need to be super careful. You don't want to cut any of those wires. I cut the nipple off inside the LR3, and I cut it about right here. I can't show you the actual nipple because when I snipped it, it fell down into the truck, and I don't feel like searching for it. So I'm going to cut the new one, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of room to work with, probably about right there. You want to make that cut as square as possible. And you take your push to connect connector, slide it in there, and now we're going to go connect this to the drain line inside the LR3. I've got the new nipple connected to the old line with my push to connect connector, and what's good about those is you don't have to index them correctly. You can just stick it on there and then spin it to where you need it to go. I can see that I've got the nipple coming out properly, so I'm going to test it by pouring some water down the drain hole. All right, so I've got water that's coming out of the drain line, and I don't have any leaks inside. That water that's dripping above it, that's just water that came down the windshield when I spilt a little bit. We now get to start putting things back together, starting with the CJB. The connectors in the back are going to be tough, especially with big hands like me. There are 2 pins that need to index in holes that are on the bracket that hold it in. I've got the Central Junction Box back in. I'm going to reconnect the battery, start the truck up, make sure everything's working okay before I button everything up. I've put the CJB back in. I've got all the connectors cleaned with my electrical parts cleaner. And some things to note when you're working on the CJB, you do not need to reprogram the truck. You can pull it out, put the existing one in, and there's no problems. If you put a new one in, it needs to be programmed. The connectors on the back side of it, you want to do those first. Those are the most difficult, and they are terrible. The ones up front, you want to put those on kind of all at the same time. You kind of want to wiggle them up, get them on, snap them in, and then bolt it down. Do not bolt the CJB down first. All I have left to do is to install the glove box, put the panels back on, and then I am good to go. If you have any questions about how to get this done, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to help you out. If you have any suggestions on how to do it better, leave those in the comments as well. Have a great day.